Hi there. If you're looking to add a new camera to your production, it's very easy to use your phone camera, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, or even actually an iPad. You can use any of those devices very easily and wirelessly, adding them into your production to give you great quality feeds from another camera source. The reason that you can do this is because of a technology called NDI, and I'll be showing you how to use NDI on your phone. I'll show you all of the settings that you can see on the phone and take you through some of the things that are worth looking out for, and give you as many tips as I can to make sure that NDI works really well for you. So if that's of interest to you, keep on watching and I'll go straight into it. So what have we got here? We have a feed from an NDI driven camera. So the NDI camera that I'm using here is actually an Android LG6, and that is placed straight above my head at the moment, giving me a top-down view of my desktop. So what you can see here is my camera. This is an iPhone here, and I've just placed a peach and obviously my keyboard just in front of it. What I wanted to show you is that actually I can unplug that. I was just feeding power to it. So NDI does work completely wirelessly, so long as you've got enough power in your phone. And if you don't have enough power in your phone, simply you can plug it in. And that's a lot less cumbersome than having HDMI cables coming out of the phone, or needing to have long feeds of, let's say, lightning cables or USB cables going back to the computer. This can be done all completely wireless. So my live phone feed from my iPhone is shown straight up here, and you can see there that that was the peach and behind it is the keyboard. What I want to do now is I'm just going to tap on the screen here, and it's bounced it a little bit because it's a little bit unstable, but if I just focus very quickly in the background, you'll see that as I move my hands into place, they become in focus. And then it clearly moves back into focus on the other main subject. Not only that, it does a little bit of a auto exposure as well, and you can see that clearly happening. So I'll show you how you can change that as we go along in the settings on NDI on the phone, and I'll show you how to get hold of the application as well. So for this, I just need to plug in my iPhone once more. And up comes the feed. So now what you can see is the actual exact display that I've got in front of me on the phone. To the left, just below me, just below here, is the actual feed, the video feed that NDI is feeding into the computer. So you can see that. So the first thing you have is this big blue NDI button right in the middle. And that means that the system, the NDI application, is broadcasting its signal. But you'll see that in the video feed below, that blue button doesn't show up. And this is very important. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on the screen to just bring up. What I really want to bring up is the control there. It's hard to see on this lighting, but the gear icon on the bottom right was what I wanted to touch. It was there, but it was hard to see. And what I want to show you are the controls that you have within the NDI system. And again, let me just highlight this, that below, in the video feed below, the fact that I've got all of the controls on the screen does not affect the video feed. So we can clearly understand that with using NDI, we're actually taking the video feed directly from the phone. A lot of camera applications as you may well know, if you have a display on the phone, it will show up in your feed, which is why you need to get a clean camera feed from those type of applications, because they're actually taking the feed from the screen itself. So they're really just screen sharing, whereas the NDI system is using the video feed directly in the background and feeding that direct to your system. So let me go through a few of these settings. So the first one I want to show you is there. So it's this feed that I want to show you. Just there. That control is your zoom control. So if you have an NDI camera and you want to zoom in, you can just touch that on the screen and you can see that I can zoom in and zoom back out. Zoom in and zoom out. I won't go too far, but obviously there's quite a bit further up the screen than I could possibly have gone. So that's your zoom control, which is fantastic if you want to just zoom into your camera's feed. Next to that, so just here we have a exposure control on the screen, and although there's no obvious buttons, you can slide that exposure. So it's actually right in the middle at the moment, but if I can slide it to the right, if I can touch it okay here, you see I can slide it to the right and the screen gets brighter, or to the left to get darker. So I'll just leave it again back in about the middle, because it's always about right, just about there. But that's your exposure control. Next to that, we have a light bulb. If your phone has the light on it with the camera, you can touch that and that will turn the light on and off. Now that tends to seem to only work if you're working in a darker environment. I think the NDI system has detected that I've got enough light and it doesn't need to turn the light on. As well, next to that we have a grid, and you can see the grid as I touch it. The grid goes blue to show that that's being activated, and it comes up on the screen as well. So if I touch it once more, turns it off, and touch it once more, that's great. And it's really good obviously for alignment purposes. If you want to be aligning, it's a kind of a thirds divided grid that comes up there. Note again that this does not come up and show up on the video outputs. So next to that we've got the blue NDI button. I'm not going to touch that because we would lose the feed, but if you touch it, it goes white. So if you've got your NDI system running and your computer's telling you that there's no feed being seen, make sure you touch that button because that'll turn the feed on. That turns on the wireless. Next to that, we've also got a microphone button, and I'll touch that a couple of times just to turn it on and off. NDI not only feeds in video, but it also feeds in audio. So you can use an NDI audio source in your productions if you wanted to. So I could use this phone as a microphone as well if I needed that to be used as a mic. NDI allows you to do that. I tend to turn that off because I'm just trying to reduce the amount of bandwidth going over the wireless. Next to that we have a button which is the rotate button on the camera. That's just to the right of the microphone. If I turn that, that alternates the cameras that are on your phone. So if you've got two cameras, you can switch from, let's say, the widescreen to the more zoomed in camera. If you've got three, it would go from the widescreen to the medium to the zoom camera. So it will do all of those. Plus, it will also then switch to the front camera. Now, my iPhone 8 has only got one lens. So when I switch it, it can only go to the lens that's going to be showing me and then back to the other lens. But it would alternate between each of the lenses that you have on your camera. If I touch it once now, you see this is me, hello, just waving to you because it's now feeding the detail of me. Look in the screen below, the video output, Again, that just proves that at the bottom below there, we don't have any of that coming up in the video feed, which is a great advantage. Touch it once more, we go back to the outside camera main feed. Next to that, we've got an interesting button. It changes the streaming level. And so that way, if you're in an area where you've got a really poor Wi-Fi signal, it will reduce the resolution being fed to the system in order to keep you having as smoother feed as possible. At the moment, I've got maximum, so you can see that the dial is in the maximum feed area. If I touch it one more time, you can see it goes there, and it would actually change the resolution. So I think I'm going down to about 720p. If I change it once more, it goes down to about 480p. And if I touch it once more again, it takes me back up to the full HD feed. Okay. And then next to that, we have the gear icon, which literally brings up this menu control. So if I touch it and I touch it once more, then it brings up that menu feed. So one thing that you haven't seen properly is the auto focusing and the focusing and how you correct that side of things. There are no color correction tools within this software. It's only brightness controls that we have. But if I want to focus on a particular area, what I would do is just tap on the screen. So I'm going to tap on the S key on the keyboard, and you see the blue light there has focused on that, and that means that it's focused there. But if something else comes in and moves in front of it, like my hand, it will focus on my hand, and then you see it focus back on the S button. If you want to fix the focus, then what you do is you tap and hold. So I'm going to go over to the L button on the other side of the peach and hold it. And you can see that that blue turns green. And now when I move my hand in front of the screen, it won't focus on it, and it doesn't change the exposure either. So it's fixed and locked on the L button. Let me see if I can get in focus on the peach. And hold the focus. Gone green, and that's now fixed as best it can be on the peach. Peach is probably a little bit too close to me at this moment in time. So that gives you a good impression of the controls that you have in the NDI HX camera application. Just to go back, I'll show you the live shot from the iPhone. So I hope that has whet your appetite to see a little bit more about the NDI system. I will now show you where you get to download it and give you some tips to get the very best from your NDI connected phones. So the first place you will want to go is to the NDI home, which is New Tech. So it says New Tech up the top here, and you'll see it says NDI there. If you go to products, it will show you the variety of their products, and I'll just scroll up if I can and show you the applications. So it says here NDI camera, and it's actually the terminology is NDI HX camera. It's been improved, and that's what you need to download to your iPhone or your Android phone. It's available both in the iOS store and the App Store. So if I show you that, it's called NDI HX Camera, and you can see this price here is actually Canadian price. In the US it is just under $20, $19.95, something in that arena. I'm talking to you at the moment in mid-October 2021. And in the UK, it's about £18. So this is the app that you need to be able to download to your phone so that you can then connect it. And of course, if you've got an iPhone or an iPad on the same iCloud account, then you can download it to both of those devices, or as many devices as you have within your iCloud account. And it tells you there a few of the things, and you can get bandwidth all the way up to 4K with a relevant phone and a strong enough Wi-Fi signal. So let me just leave that on the screen. NDI HX Camera is the application. Okay, coming away from there, let me tell you a few things about what you need to be able to get the very best from your NDI HX camera application. Because what of course it's doing is beaming a signal wirelessly from your phone into your NDI HX savvy computer and application. So what do you need? You need an excellent Wi-Fi signal. And how are you going to get the best Wi-Fi signal that you can? Well, there's a few ways that you can manage this. You can get yourself very near to the wireless router. That's the best thing to do. Now, I happen to be in the same room. My router is in the same room as me, so I don't really have any problems with getting a good Wi-Fi signal from my phone to my computer, because it just bounces through the router in the same room and out to the computer. If you can be in line of sight with the router, so there are some places that I actually do jobs, and I make sure that I can see the router at the same time as I'm using my phones and the computer that I'm using to make my Ecamm recordings. Choose the fastest Wi-Fi speed that's available to you on the site. So this is something that's quite funny, because quite commonly you might be using your phone connected to the Wi-Fi system, but there's a faster, maybe a 5 gigahertz version of the Wi-Fi. Connect to that and make sure, if you're using your computer wirelessly, that you're connected to the same faster system. So that will certainly help your signal get from your phone to the computer. You need to then download HX Camera from the App Store or the Play Store. And then you need to be using a NDI savvy application. Now, Ecamm Live, which is what I use all the time, what I'm trying to demonstrate to you on here, Ecamm Live is an NDI savvy application. It has already got the plugin built in to receive NDI signals, so you shouldn't have any problems using Ecamm. OBS also has the same, and you can simply find your phone becomes a camera application. So you simply add the NDI version of your phone and its camera into the scenes that you want to use. So we can see here from that little graphic, the phone beams a signal into the computer via the router. That's really the way to consider that. That's how this works. So I hope that's whet your appetite a little bit for using an NDI based camera. It's really fantastic if you want to do overhead shots for product demonstrations, if you're maybe doing some art or you're doing some cookery and you need an overhead camera. You don't need to go out and buy another camera. You can simply use your phone and use this wirelessly, so you haven't got wires trailing everywhere and getting in the way. It's also ideal if you want to move around your set and your location whilst you're recording or streaming to show various other things. So that's one of the other great benefits about NDI, is the freedom that you have. You don't have to be tied to a tripod with the camera. You're using your phone, you can just walk around with it and take advantage of that. So hopefully that's given you some pause for thought. Thanks for watching. If you want to know more about Ecamm, please leave a comment in the comments below. Anything about NDI I can answer, and I'll be doing some more NDI based videos in the near future, so watch out for those. Thanks a lot.